Hey everyone, welcome back to Bible Verse Breakdown. In this video, I am going to be breaking down what Jesus Christ said in John chapter 7 verse 24, which reads, "Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment." Now, it's often believed or said that we as Christians should actually not judge because of what Jesus said in Matthew chapter 7 verse 1. "Judge not, that ye be not judged." And St. Paul also said in Romans chapter 12 verse 19, "Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, Vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord." But if we read the whole Bible, what we'll actually notice is that God Almighty actually expected us to judge certain matters, and then He, like a Supreme Court, would judge others. That's why when we read Psalm 50 verse 6 and Psalm 75 verse 7, it says that God is the judge. It doesn't mean that He is the only person who is judging. It just means that those top matters that determine the future of humanity as a whole, those are the kinds of things that He Himself judges. But if you read Deuteronomy chapter 17 verses 8 to 13, you can see that God Almighty expected that the Israelites would set judges who would adjudicate their fellow matters. And if you read Deuteronomy chapter 13, you can actually see an instance where God told the people that if they saw someone who was trying to lure other people to serve other gods, they should actually stone that person to death. In other words, they should judge that matter. And if you read 1 Timothy chapter 5 verse 20, Paul advised Timothy, "Them that sin rebuke before all, that they also may fear." In other words, he was saying, judge your fellow brethren. And in 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verses 4 and 5, Paul was actually ashamed of the Corinthians for not being able to appoint someone who would judge their fellow matters. "If then ye have judgments of things pertaining to this life, set them to judge who are least esteemed in the church. I speak to your shame. Is it so that there is not one wise man among you? No, not one who shall be able to judge between his brethren?" That's 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verses 4 and 5. So we can see that we are indeed supposed to judge. And if you read 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3, Paul also gave us a pointer on who exactly we should be judging based on the hierarchy of obedience. "But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. For this reason, God Almighty judged the house of Eli, because as a parent, Eli was supposed to judge his children, but he refused to because he was weak. For I have told him that I will judge his house forever for the iniquity which he knoweth, because his sons made themselves vile, and he restrained them not." And there are many instances in the Bible where people judge their fellow man. If you read 2 Kings chapter 5 verses 20 to 27, Elisha judged Gehazi for the things that he did by telling him that the leprosy of Naaman would rest on him and his descendants forever. If you read Acts chapter 13 verses 6 to 12, you can see that when Elymas the sorcerer wanted to prevent a deputy from hearing the gospel, Paul cursed him with blindness for a season. He judged him for his iniquity. If you read Matthew chapter 23 verses 13 to 39, the same person who said that we shouldn't judge in Matthew chapter 7 verse 1 later went on to judge the Pharisees, showing that, except if we believe he contradicted himself, really we are actually supposed to judge. And there are many other examples of that, of people who judge their fellow man, because regarding the things that God has put in our hands, He actually expects us to judge so that iniquity can be put away from our spaces. And when Jesus Christ said that we should judge righteous judgment, that's another important part, because if you read 2 Samuel chapter 23 verse 3, David said that those who rule over others have to be just. They need to have integrity. "He that ruleth over men must be just, ruling in the fear of God." God Almighty Himself is a just man, if you read Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 4. So those who want to exercise authority on His behalf also have to be just people who are not swayed by bribes or money that they're given or what people are thinking. God Almighty would often tell the Israelites that they should not lean towards the poor in judgment, neither towards the rich. They had to be impartial. And that is where I'm going to stop on breaking down John chapter 7, verse 24, which once again reads, "Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment." If you have enjoyed this video and learned something new today, I'd appreciate if you click the subscribe button and also the like button. And if you want to be notified when I come back with a new video just like this, you can click the notification bell. Have a good day, and God bless you.